Thought I'd take a minute and talk about our strategy this year, our 2026 strategy for the bee business. I'm actually going to downsize some more. Been downsizing every year for about 10 years. Peaked out at about 2,800 colonies 10 years ago, and we've been shrinking a couple hundred every year. This year we might have 1,000 colonies this summer. We'll see how it turns out. We're making a lot of nucs. I'm not even selling any nucs for the first time in a very long time. Some of our customers are disappointed, but I've been saving all the nucs for us because as I've downsized, I found I have too many honey supers. 3 years ago I sold 1,400 supers and we were good for a while, but now we're back to the point where we have too many again. I've got about 2,200 mediums that some of them can be seen in the back of the warehouse, but I also have about 1,000 of these deep boxes of drawn comb, and we didn't even use them all last year. And rather than just selling deep boxes of drawn comb for a lot less than they're really worth, I'm going to put bees in them, put a lid in the bottom on them, fill them with bees, and sell them as a colony later this season or perhaps in the winter or spring. That's the best way to get money out of used equipment, is simply to fill it full of bees. Got about 1,000 of these boxes, and I just simply don't need that many anymore. And plus, as I get older, I don't like lifting these deep boxes full of honey anyway. I'd much rather have mediums as a honey super. So we've been shaking a few packages this season, but we haven't sold any nucs. We're keeping them all for ourselves. We're probably going to make 1,000 nucs or more before the season is over. Some will be used for requeening, but a lot of them are going to be used for filling this deep equipment to sell it later on. Our strategy is a little different this year. Oh, that's a motley looking crew right there. Playing in the grass, John, huh?
Looking at the bees on the clover, Bob.
Oh, the bees are on the white clover? Okay. Dutch white clover, interesting. It's kind of early for that.
That's what I was wondering.
It's the, what is it, the 12th of April today?
The 8th.
It's the 8th? No.
Yes, sir.
Am I that far off? Boy. You're right, John. You're right. I'm wrong. Okay. Told you I was all messed up this week.
No,
It's been a
man.
busy week.
I've had a crazy, insane week. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Next time we come here, we'll be bragging about how much honey's in the boxes.
Sweet.
Tulip poplars are just opening up in this location. It's right on the brink of a major spring honey flow here. We're only feeding the nucs, of course. We don't want any sugar water in those second-story boxes. A couple of these colonies were actually running a little lean, weren't they, John?
Oh, yeah.
Kind of out of food, but
But I seen a little nectar in the same
yeah,
one that was.
yeah. So the nectar's starting to come in, so we won't have to worry about starving. Starving, you know, I don't know if I ever mentioned this. Starving is a good swarm control measure.
No, you did that with me and Seth worked with you one year.
Yeah.
We just
Not literally starving, but letting them run out of
we
food.
had little
Yeah.
corners of food, and that was
Yeah.
it. And it worked.
Yeah. Okay. Next stop is Wolf Creek.
Okay.
See you there. I'm at the bee yard that we have on my neighbor Jack's property. This place is full of exotic plants. I have no idea what half of them are. And this one caught my eye, just opening up. I don't know what it is. I'll have to ask Jack what it is. It's really lovely. The reason I'm here in this bee yard today is we are getting inspected by the state of Georgia, which happens annually, and it's all good. We have to be licensed to sell bees, and we need a health inspection certificate to do it. I think it costs me $100 or $150 a year to be licensed. So these two are inspectors. They're just here to check us out. And then we have to go to several other yards too. So we're in a small yard of ours in Tiger, Georgia. Interesting name for a town, Tiger. And I've had this yard for 3 years. I usually give a spot 3 years to figure out if it's good or bad or whatever. You can't always tell by just one year or even two. But this yard is consistently a bad yard of bees. And I think I've come to the conclusion that it's because of a vineyard that's about a quarter mile away. I can't see any other reason why they would be consistently poor. In 3 years, I've never been able to get this yard of bees in what I would consider premium condition. So I'm just going to assume it's that vineyard, and we're going to move these bees out of here in a few weeks. But the first thing we're going to do is split them to pieces. We have another yard that's about a mile away that's full of Caucasian drones. And I think we can split these all up and fill all these dead spots and put some extra nuke boxes in the yard and let them mate with that Caucasian drone stock that's about a mile away. We will be putting cells that were created from Golden West breeder queens that we have. So it would be a combination of a Golden West virgin queen mating with our Caucasian drones. That's a combination I want to play around with. And let's see what they're finding here. I didn't expect much here. All these holes represent colonies that did not make it through winter or weren't even colonies before winter started. It was really bad here last summer. Let's see what these guys have to say. What do you think, John? You finding anything worthwhile?
Oh yeah.
Yeah? Got some good stuff?
All right.
How about you, Selena?
So this one was a new queen. It was a cell on 325, and we found her and marked her and putting her back together with her kind of like, there's eggs all in that. But
Oh, this was one that raised a new queen this spring?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's interesting that she actually took.
Yeah.
What you got, Cody? Any good?
Oh yeah, it's good. Try to
Okay.
find it.
Okay, these are Caucasian colonies right now. It's, but they all need to be requeened, in my view. Look at the pollen, my goodness.
No shortage on pollen.
Okay. Alrighty. Search and destroy. So we have a little bit of drone brood right here. Of course, I know you know this,
Yeah.
but immediately look for
I didn't
mites.
see
Yeah.
any.
Good, good, good. Okay, well, they're not in terrible shape.
No,
but
this one's pretty strong actually.
we'll get some nukes out of here. Let's take them all down to 2 frames of brood. Everybody's left with 2 frames of brood.
Okay.
And then all the extra brood will go into extra nukes. Frame of food, couple shakes, usual routine. Feels weird we're killing all these Caucasian queens because we're always trying to raise Caucasians. But in this particular instance, I think it's something we have to do.
Okay.
I guess I should add a little more explanation about the vineyard. Bees generally don't work grapes. It's not that they're going to the grapevines and getting poisoned. I think what happens is that they go to work the Dutch white clover in the grass in the vineyard while the grapes are being sprayed. Talked to a vineyard owner about 2 or 3 years ago, another vineyard that I had to move bees away from, and they were spraying fungicides and pesticides on the grapes and the grapevines, and we were watching the bees working the Dutch white clover in the vineyard, and I think that's how they were getting poisoned. As soon as these bees are done mating and getting reestablished, we'll move this yard. So we just split this yard to pieces. Every single queen got killed, even though they were from last year, and many still doing a good job. The reason for killing every queen and requeening every year isn't just necessarily what's happening in the moment, but also what's going to be happening next winter and next spring. We want good colonies in the spring for making nukes and packages and stuff like that. So here's the strategy here. We left every colony with 2 frames of brood, frame of food, and all the nukes that came out of here were 2 frames of brood, a frame of food, and an extra shake of bees. The reasoning behind this is that we have almost exactly 2.5 months away to what would traditionally be the beginning of the sourwood flow in this location. That 2 frames of brood is going to be a stout single-story colony in time for the sourwood flow. We could make the splits bigger, but there's no purpose. They're not going to make spring honey. By the time the spring honey flow is over, they will not be big enough to have supers on them. And that 2 frames of brood will be a perfect they'll peak at the perfect time for sourwood. So when people see single-story colonies in my videos, that's what we're looking at. I prefer double deep colonies, which is a subject for another video. But when you see single-story colonies in my yards, that's what's going on. We don't want to build them up to be a two-story colony, two deeps in time for sourwood, because we'll spend too much energy and perhaps part of the honey flow filling the second deep. So these will be single-story colonies going into the sourwood, and very possibly be single-story colonies coming out of sourwood, and they'll overwinter as singles. Might put another deep on them and draw it out with sugar syrup. That's a question for the future, but most likely they will be singles from here on out. We call this yard the strawberry field for obvious reasons. I'm pollinating for a friend. I don't do any more pollination these days as a general rule, but in this instance I do it for a friend. I got 16 colonies here. The strawberry field is our favorite yard to inspect, and I will leave it up to the viewer to guess why.